have quorum, right? Yes.
Oh,
5
Peter,
seconds.
All right, then I'm going to hang up
You are live.
from Board of Selectmen. Good, okay.
I don't have a clock in front of me. I'm assuming it's about 7:30.
It is.
You can begin, James.
I'd like to open the Conservation Commission meeting for Monday, June 29th, I believe, on 2020 at 7:30 on the Zoom meeting. Do you want to go forward with that, Amy, as far as the...
Oh, yes, let me read this. The town of Littleton began conducting remote participation / Zoom meetings pursuant to Governor Baker's emergency order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law on March 19th, 2020. Since that time, unanticipated legal concerns related to the open meeting law have been brought to our attention by the town clerk. Those concerns were supported by the Attorney General's office and by town council. One concern is that the chat function allows a parallel text conversation to a board's public meeting. Chat is essentially running commentary that is occurring but is not moderated or followed by the chair. All participants and listeners may not be aware of comments being made because some meeting participants join by phone and do not see these conversations. Another concern is conversations between residents within the chat room which are not incorporated into the public record. In response to these concerns, the town will implement the following changes within which in no way prohibit any member of the public from participating in discussion and sharing information during a public meeting, and will ensure that all listeners and participants have equal access to this meeting. People that join the Zoom meeting are set so their microphones are muted. If you called in by phone, please use *6 to mute or unmute your phone. So that the meeting can occur in an orderly fashion, we ask the people who join keep their microphones on mute so background noises do not interfere with the meeting. If you wish to participate in the meeting, please use the raise your hand function. Or if you called in by phone, dial *9, which will activate the raise a hand your function. The meeting host will notify the chairperson of the raised hands, and the chairperson will determine whether or not to allow, here's Anna, public comment. When called upon, participants should unmute, then name and address. After speaking, we request the participant return their microphone back to mute. Okay.
Guess we go forward with the approval of the minutes of June 2020, June 1st, and also the executive session for June 1st, 2020, and June 15, 2022. So has anybody got any omissions or corrections to any of these minutes that have been posted?
I believe that I did not send the June 1st, 2020 executive session. I think I sent the agenda by mistake instead of that. So, and Anna, I got your comments on the regular June 1 and June 15 meeting.
I think you did, at least from what I
got the
saw.
executive session.
Yeah, you got the executive. Because I read through that, but I didn't have any comments, so I didn't.
So on the executive session one, you will need to make a motion first that the minutes don't need to be kept in executive session anymore because nothing sensitive was discussed. And then you can vote to approve the minutes.
Somebody want to make a motion to that effect?
All right, I'll make a motion to reject the minutes, dispose of the minutes because they were, oh no, make them public.
Yeah, make them public.
Because they don't have any sensitive information.
Where a second?
Yeah. Oh, second.
All those in favor?
I think you have to take a roll call, James.
Okay. Who's running the roll call tonight?
I can do
Ken,
Want me to run the
can
roll
you run the
call?
roll call?
Sure. Sarah Seward,
Yes. Sarah Seward.
James Pickard,
James Pickett, yes.
Kyle Maxfield,
Kyle Maxfield, yes.
Andrew Samarco,
Andrew Marco, yes.
Anna Mayer,
Anna Mayer, aye.
and Carl Melberg, aye.
Okay. Minutes are from now. Do we do the regular minutes at this point or June 15th? I'm a little confused.
Yep, no, not yet. Now you need to do the regular June 1st and the June 15th.
Okay. Anybody got any omissions to the regular June 1st, 2020 meeting?
Nope.
Anna?
I sent my edits to Amy already, and they were all editorial. I don't have them in front of me, but
Somebody want to make a motion to accept the minutes of June 1st?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of June 1st as amended.
Do I hear a second?
I'll do the roll call. Sarah Seward,
I haven't got a
Sarah
second
Seward.
yet.
Oh,
Yes.
second.
Thank you.
Okay, go forward.
James Pickard,
James Pickett, yes.
Kyle Maxfield,
Kyle Maxfield, yes.
Andrew Samarco,
Andrew Samarco, yes.
Anna Mayer,
Anna Mary, yes.
and Carl Melberg, yes.
Okay.
Now we need to go back to the June 15th,
Right.
2020 meeting. Anybody got any omissions or corrections to that?
I also had some edits that I already sent to Amy.
Yep.
And
Anybody else?
Nope.
Somebody want to make a motion to accept the minutes of June 15th, 2020?
okay, I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of June 15th, 2020 as amended.
How about a second there, folks?
Second.
Roll call. Sarah Seward,
Sarah Seward, yes.
James Pickard,
James Pickett, yes.
Kyle Maxfield,
Kyle Maxfield, yes.
Andrew Samarco,
Andrew Samarco, yes.
Anna Mayer,
Anna Mary, yes.
and Carl Melberg, yes.
Okay. Administrative discussion, hay license, is that
We can table that.
okay? Request for certificate of compliance, 134 Taylor Street, Cardello, Mass DEP file number 204-725. I think some people went out and looked at that.
Yeah, Kyle. I can't remember who's there.
Carl,
Everybody else, yeah.
Yeah. You want to report on what you said? It looked pretty good to me.
Yeah, I thought it looked great.
yep, I thought it was great. I'll make a motion. We're accepting the certificate of compliance. Is that what we're motioning?
Or to issue it, yeah.
Issue it. So, I'll make a motion to issue a certificate of compliance for 134 Taylor Street, Cardillo, Mass DEP, number 204-725.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Guess we have a roll call vote.
Sarah Seward,
Sarah Seward, yes.
James Pickard,
James Pickett, yes.
Kyle Maxfield,
Kyle Maxfield, yes.
Andrew Samarco,
Andrew Samarco, yes.
Anna Mayer,
Anna Mary, yes.
and Carl Melberg, yes.
Approved. Go on to the next one, I guess. Eagle Scout benches.
I sent you around a picture of what an Eagle Scout would like to put some benches in conservation land. If you're agreeable to that, I told her I would at least run it by you guys because I didn't have time to get her really onto the agenda.
Yeah, I took a look at the picture. I really like the bench she chose. Or he chose.
Gee,
I think only one suggestion I would have is just to think of the longevity. If maybe we could use like a stain versus a paint instead of the paint flaking off over time, maybe.
Mm.
Do we have a opinion of where they're going to be set up?
Were there any proposed sites? I I looked at the email very briefly today and didn't really have time to see
I
if there
think
were.
they're gonna come in and present to us though, right? I mean, not come in, obviously, but to,
Yeah, she definitely will. And I'm not sure if she had any specific ideas. So if you had any, I don't know how many she's going to do. Obviously, it depends on how much fundraising she can get done.
so, but just in concept, I think, I support it for sure.
Is this a Girl Scout or a Boy Scout?
It's an Eagle Scout, but it's a girl.
Okay. So we'll be looking for more information from her, I take it.
Yeah, I'll get her up on the agenda for the next time.
All right. 119 Tehadawon Land Grant Application Signatures.
I did have that on the agenda. I'm getting the land grant ready, which is due July 15th. I think it's gonna be down to the wire again. But this one does need to be signed by everybody. So if you're amenable to it, I can send you around the signature page by DocuSign. Unless you want to do it a different way. And the cover letter, Jim, I wasn't sure if, I think I definitely need to sign the cover letter because I'm designated the project manager, but if you want to co-sign it, we can do that, or
Yeah.
me, or whatever you want to do.
I can work with you on that.
Okay, well, I can do that as a DocuSign again too, so.
Okay. Do we need a motion on this one?
I don't think so. I just wanted you all to be aware that that's coming over.
Okay. Other updates and administrative action. What have we got? Anything?
I don't think I have anything else.
For my 2 cents worth, I've been watching the parking lot on Harvard Road, and that seems to be getting a lot of use, especially on the weekends up there. Pretty much full some of the time.
Yeah, good. And the parking lot at Cloverdale is open and being used.
Well, that's good.
Yep. Yep, they did a pretty nice job. It could use a fence or, like almost a guardrail so people don't just sort of keep driving. But it's holding up and it looks good.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, I
Now,
actually walked Cloverdale a few days ago, and the parking lot looks really good, and the walkway looks really good. I
Yeah,
think
it needs to be
does need-
extended.
does need some markings though, some trail markings maybe, because there's a couple points where it breaks off, and we followed it, but it went to a house. So I don't know, maybe some arrow, like trail this way or something.
Yeah. I happen to have some routed arrow signs that I could put up out there too.
Is the parking lot completed, or is it just still in the stages of being done?
It's completed. I have to see if Highway owes us a handicap parking accessible sign or not, like they have up at the Harvard Road parking lot, but otherwise they're done.
Is there a kiosk down there now?
There is. There's a nice big beautiful kiosk and a swing sign. The Littleton Electric is going to be auguring 4 more signposts at Mary Shepherd, Hartwell, Oak Hill at Harvard Road, and Mill Hill. So we can get those swing signs up.
I guess that's where I saw the markings in the road up on Harvard Road. There was some kind of markings. Somebody had laid out something.
I just put in a stake and told them, somewhere in this area without getting into trouble.
Because there's markings on the pavement on the further entrance I saw today. Okay, that all sounds good. Anybody else got anything they want to add? How are we running on time?
It is 7:45. Oh,
Okay. 45 Manawanaki Trail, U47-47, tree removal and pruning. Somebody going to speak to that?
Oh, there he is, Benson. Benny, go ahead.
Hi.
Yourself? Yeah.
So we're looking to remove 2 trees along the water because of safety issues. We're worried that the trees are undercut and girdled and also declining.
Do you have any pictures?
They are in the form that I sent in.
Trying to see if I can share that screen.
Yeah.
I got too many overlapping things. Here we go. Can you guys see this? Can you guys see this?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so there's the aerial photograph, the lake and the trees. What's the green versus the red? Oh, pruning versus removal.
Green is pruning and red is removal.
And then I think you've got pictures of them down here. So some of them, you know, are right on the edge, and you can tell they're starting to lean and pull the bank with them.
Hmm.
The tree next to that one actually failed, I believe, last season. And I think actually this one is outside of the 100 feet, but it also is decayed at the base with insect activity.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
How do you propose to remove them?
The trees will be removed by climbing maybe the one in the front by bucket truck, but it should be accessible either from the street or the driveway. So by hand.
And the stumps will remain?
Stumps will remain. I'm not going to try to disturb the soil there or get a machine to them. I don't even know if that would be possible, honestly.
Anybody else got any comments or questions?
Will all the wood be hauled off too, or what are you going to do with the branches?
Branches will be chipped and removed from the site. We may retain some of the chips to spread along the top just to try to help stop some of the water. And then also we may keep some of the wood for firewood, but I think most of that will be hauled away as well.
And what are the species of trees?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask.
They're both oaks.
Oaks?
Yes, either red or black.
Are there any any roots attached to, I mean, there's obviously roots attached to the trees, but the ones that are closest to the water, are there any exposed roots?
There are exposed roots on both, and actually tree number 1 is actually being girdled by roots. So the lower portion of the stem is being choked.
You plan to do anything with erosion control or anything along the water's edge there at some point?
We would like to. We're kind of working a phased plan to work on getting a safe staircase to the water. And then my understanding is that the town is going to be doing some paving and they're going to also try to fix some of the curb line. We get a tremendous amount of water coming from the roadway down, and until that kind of gets addressed, you know, we're not sure how to approach the retention of the shoreline. We don't want, you know, the water and the gullying to continue. It's pretty steep on both sides of the house there. There's a lot of, it's good that there's a lot of tree cover, but the water that just comes sheeting off the road is pretty extensive.
How many, just a quick question, how many of the trees canopy over the water? I see one there that's to be removed. Are there any other that add shade in terms of temperature projection to the shoreline?
Yeah, actually, so tree number 6, that also extends over the water, and the 2 behind it also as well. So if you look at tree 1, so tree 6, the tree to the right to that also extends over the water. The one further up the hillside does as well. And actually the whole left side of the property is pretty much treed to the street, mixed white oaks, a couple of white pines, and then there's several oaks in the front. On the right side, there's some on the adjacent property that also provide a little bit of shade.
Okay. Because one of the concerns we've always had is the additional warming water and habitat there on the shoreland. Are you planning on revegetating with any trees?
We're certainly not against it. We would like to try to replant with something that would survive, but also support shade. Right.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's pretty, I'd hate to, in some senses, plant another oak because I'd like some diversity.
Sure.
You know, certainly concerned about pests that would wipe those out or certainly harm them to the point of more tree removal. So I'd like some diversity. I'm open to suggestions. You know, Tupelo is something that I think would potentially work well there.
Serviceberry, I don't know how that grows actually close to the water, but it tends to have an arcing branching structure, and it's a lower canopy, then it won't get so big.
Yeah. I mean, witch hazel will be another one. We also planted some winterberry. I mean, really, some of the early plans we've had for some of the erosion control also included some grasses and things like that. Because if you look to the right in that first photo there with tree 6, just behind that is also the septic. So we really want to retain that hillside from washing into the water.
So it looks like someone had started some rock revetment. I'm looking like under where it says tree 6 prune.
You know, those have just always been there. I think over time, I wouldn't say in some senses it was intentional, but
I'm not saying it's intentional. I'm just, it looks like it's actually holding the bank a little bit.
sure.
As opposed to like over to the left where the trees are, we're definitely getting some erosion.
Yeah. Well, in the tree 1, oh, I'm sorry, tree 2, it's undercut, I would say a solid 3 or 4 feet.
Yeah.
And there's also a significant, I mean, tree 2 is much closer to grade of the water level, where tree 1 is probably, well, the stem of the tree is probably 3 feet above water.
Yeah. Yep. But you're definitely gonna, like I said, this is step 1, and then you're gonna look at what you're gonna try and do to help with the erosion problem, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, I think
Yeah.
that's a good plan. Typically, we like to see the whole thing come in as one. But I understand. I understand why you want to do this. Do this first step and move the trees, and then figure out what's next.
This is Matt Kale, associate member, real quick. Amy, is the tree guide going to be done? It's going to be done this next fiscal year, right? Because we're working on a native tree list, and that could kind of help inform the decision as well.
Yeah, hopefully in 3 months or so.
Okay.
I just got to get some people's attention to get the contract signed, basically.
Yeah. I don't know if we want to have, you know, that available as well, or just to comment. I did hear him say Tupelo, and that's, you know, a good species. We want to try and promote some, you know, trees that are more indigenous than the sort of non-natives, and you know, that's a good one that deal with the water. Obviously, red maple, which we have plenty of, but that would survive as well. And you know, anything along those lines, like even a taxodium, you know, bald cypress, something like that, that doesn't mind wet feet, would survive.
You can grow a bald cypress up here, Matt?
Oh yeah.
Really?
Yeah. they do well in a lot of low oxygen soil compaction or water. So that would be
I thought
good
they were
choice.
more, I thought they were more south.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna get some ball cypress knees coming up, Amy.
Yeah, get some Spanish moss hanging off of that, we'll be all set.
Exactly. Well, anyway, I just wanted to chime in. It sounds like he's considered some good appropriate species. So it'd be, if we can present more information when our publication comes online, that'd be great too.
So what do you want to do, folks?
I will also say I'm not entirely positive I know everybody who's on here, so I'm not sure if you have anybody in the audience who has any comments. I assume they could raise their hand, or it's like you're good to go.
I'm sorry, I may have missed it. Is this an RDA or a full NOI for the removal?
RDA.
RDA, okay.
I support the process. I just want to make sure that it's written that the stumps would not be ground down.
And you're okay with leaving the replacement basically to a later phase?
Yeah, I mean, like he said, if the town's going to be coming through and doing work that could alter what his potential plan is, then
They got some issues over there from the town.
yeah, it doesn't make sense for him to try to do something if the
Yeah.
town alters it in a way that isn't beneficial to him.
Yeah, it comes down the driveway. There's sort of a gutter across the driveway, which is sort of,
So can we put a date in the future that says, you know, within X amount of, you know, whether it's a year, or I'm not sure when the town would be addressing this. So I just don't want to have it like, oh, it's going to be fixed in the future. So whatever we say, 1 year or within 2 years, that it would be revisited to put some plantings in there if the town all of a sudden, for whatever reason, doesn't address the problems.
Yep. I agree with Sarah.
So
So
you
if we
mean
could just come up with a timeline, that would be great.
that would be a part of the negative determination?
Correct.
and also as much a reminder to me, basically I assume that when Highway comes through and says they haven't done this part of Mattawanaki yet?
No, they haven't.
Okay.
I'm Mark Hoffman. I'm representing the property owners. It's my wife and my brother-in-law who own the property. It's been in the family since 1969. I contacted the highway department and they're planning on doing some work in July, like soon. I'm not sure how that's impacted by the whole COVID situation, but when I contacted them about this, because again, we don't want to do any kind of erosion control and then, have it changed because of work that's being done up on the street. They told me they're going to be doing something this summer. So we were sort of holding off until that's being done to be able to actually decide what to do going forward.
Amy, have you caught wind of that they're doing that this summer?
Yeah, I thought it was on their list for this summer. Remember, they had a couple different phases at Mattawanaki, so I wasn't sure which section was which, but that sounds right. So do you want to say, I don't know, within a year of Mass Highway, of the town highway doing the road work?
Maybe
I feel 1 year, because we'll have a direction within a year. How does the applicant feel about that?
I think that's fine.
Okay. Well, let's keep moving.
Somebody want to make a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to issue a negative determination for this job on, what's the number, the address?
45 Mattawanaki.
45 Mattawanaki.
You,
With the stipulation that after a year, a possible replanting will be revisited on the property.
Second.
I would suggest a minimum that he come back and revisit us in a year's time, whether it gets done or not. Because I mean, there's erosion problems there too.
So you have a second. Carl, you want to do roll call?
Sarah Seward,
Sarah Seward, yes?
Kyle Maxfield,
Kyle Maxfield, yes.
James Pickard,
James Pickett, yes.
Andrew Samarco? Andrew Samarco?
Marco, yes. Oh,
Anna
Andrew
Mayer.
Samarco, yes.
Anna Mayer?
Anna Mayer, yes.
And Carl Melberg, yes.
Okay.
Just an update on the selectmen's, they're having to reboot their system, so they were taking a 5-minute break.
Oh, God.
So Anna, just so you know, they're not really on time yet.
Okay, public meeting, 8 o'clock public meeting, 12 Cricket Lane, U46-2, replacement of failed sewage disposal system. Somebody want to speak to that? I hope I'm in the right time frame.
You are.
You gonna change your screen, Amy?
Good idea.
Thank you.
Who we got here, Kevin?
I think so. I'm trying.
Yep, well, we can hear you anyway. That's good.
Can you see me?
You're there.
I've lost my drawing.
You are now Nancy.
I am Nancy tonight. I've got my IT professional coming.
I can, they're sideways. Well, I can put up sideways pictures. Yeah.
Share your screen.
Yes.
You wanna share your video?
Oh, it doesn't matter.
Okay. There you go. You should be able to see it.
Okay. So I've got the screen here. I assume you can all see the plan for 12 Cricket.
Yes.
Okay, so 12 Cricket, it's got a failed Title V inspection. It's down on Spectacle Pond. We've got the edge of the pond here. We've got the 50-foot buffer. So all work will be outside the 50-foot buffer. We've got an existing septic tank and some form of leach field here. The existing tank is between the 50 and the 100 foot, and the existing leaching area is partially within 100 feet. So we're proposing a new septic tank, pump chamber, and pumping the sewage effluent up to an area outside the 100-foot buffer zone. So we've got the 100-foot here, the leaching area completely outside the buffer. We do have one tree that will need to be removed in order to get the new tank in and to dig out the old tank. The new tank is 71 feet off the edge of the pond. That's basically the closest work that we will be doing. And then we've got the pump chamber, just about 100, pumps it up into the leaching area. The area is serviced by wells, so we're going to be 100 feet off the wells. We're in a very limited area. We've got a 100-foot well arc here, another 100-foot well arc here. There's a garage in this area here. So we're kind of sandwiched between the 100-foot, the garage, and the well arcs. The plan has been approved by the Board of Health. I would say that's pretty much it in a nutshell.
Well, the impact in the buffer looks like it's minimal to me.
Yeah, the area, all this area here is currently grass now. There is a tree line here. The rest of the area here is all lawn area. So we will only be in the lawn area.
Is the plan to leave all the existing septic stuff where it is now? Nothing's going to be dug up?
So the existing tank, that will disappear just because of where the new tank's going. The new tank's basically going in the same place.
Oh, okay.
We did look at trying to move the plumbing and bringing it out the front. We had a plumber in there, but they could not relocate the plumbing. So we are fixed as to where it comes out. So we are putting it in the same place. That old tank will be pumped out, dug out, and removed from site. This leaching area here, depending on what they hit, if they hit if it's wet enough, they'll pump it out. The house has been empty for a couple of weeks, so it should, I would imagine it's dried out. the bulk of that system will be left in place, just to kind of disintegrate on its own. In the area here where the new pump chamber is going, they'll dig out any contaminated soil and remove that from the site.
And no work in the 50, correct? It looks like.
In the 50, we got the 50 here. Everything, the erosion controls at 56, and the closest component is 71 feet. So no, there's no need to do anything within the 50.
And this is an NOI?
This was an RDA.
RDA.
Anybody else got any comments?
I don't see any issue with it.
I don't either. I'd like to make a motion if nobody else has comments, maybe to issue a negative determination.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Oh, sorry.
Sarah Seward,
Sarah Stewart, yes.
James Pickard,
James Pickard, yes.
Carol Maxfield,
Oh, Maxfield, yes.
Andrew Samarco,
Andrew Samarco, yes.
Anna Mayer,
Anna Mayer, yes.
Carl Melberg, yes.
Approved.
Okay, thank you very much.
I guess we're done.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Have a
Thank you.
You too.
How are we doing on time frame, Amy?
We got a few minutes here.
Actually, we're a little bit ahead, yeah.
So Amy, the selectmen are on 3F.
Yeah, I see Scott talking there.
It's talking about reopening the town hall.
I'm getting used to this.
So can we go forward on this discussion on the enforcement orders, Durkee, K and K 2 and 4, or we gotta wait a minute?
Like, wait a minute, can we confirm the next meetings? I saw that at the next page at the bottom, it said to be confirmed, the 13th and the 27th.
I always say to be confirmed just in case, but as far as I know, those are the next two.
Okay.
Okay.
Like, Jim, you have to wait 3 minutes. No, actually, it's only 8:08.
So what else? If, probably when the grant is done, I was gonna start looking into some of this dog leash stuff. If anybody wants to tackle that,
Yeah.
get some
I can-
idea of what adjoining towns do. What are you saying, Andrew?
I was going to say I can certainly help you with that if you need any.
Oh, okay, Andrew will do that.
Thank you, Andrew.
I have a great deal of experience getting jumped on lately, so.
Hopefully it was with friendly dogs.
Not always, actually. I had dogs that came out of nowhere, and the owner was like yards and yards away. So,
Yeah.
Was this in Littleton?
yeah,
I hope you're keeping a journal.
right
So
here.
just so you can remember, like, on which day. So I think it's important for people to know that.
Oh, absolutely.
Yep.
With any particular parcel, what's worse than the others?
It really varies. I mean, Long Lake Park is where I've had most of the incidents. But I haven't been to like Oak Hill in a little while in some of the major sites.
Yeah, I see most of the comments from Long Lake, Oak Hill, maybe Yap, but those are all the easiest places. So, if there's a dog running loose on Hartwell, no one's going to see it because it's not very busy over there.
Did I see somebody had posted some fresh signs or something, at least on the gate on Oak Hill on Harvard Road? It looked like there was some fresh paperwork hanging there or something.
Not that I know of. There should be a bright pink sign and I think a bright green sign on the gate on the main entrance. And then there's something on the trail head over on Harvard Road, the same thing. All the social distancing and dogs on leash.
Yeah.
Information and other.
Has anything more been done about Reed Meadow access or anything? Does that come about for?
Sherry Gould is working on the conservation restrictions for Healy Corner. And she is also doing Reed Meadow. So they're both, it's red tape at this point. And the template changed because it took so long, so she had to redo it all. And apparently the template's under revisions right now, so she better get those in so that they're grandfathered.
Mm-hmm.
And ditto with the point, which will be on in a little bit. And the only other thing I was going to mention is Oak Hill. Apparently, it seems like some mountain bikers have been cutting trails in there. And I'm not quite clear if it's really an issue what they're doing, and maybe they are some good trails, but they're just taking it upon themselves to do it. So I'm going to try to go out and track down these trails, and I might just post a sign there saying that you're not allowed to create trails and get an idea of whether or not we want to try to close them or harness their exuberance and get them to do something else.
Or maybe make their trails permanent.
Exactly. It's been a tough year. This spring was wet. There was a lot of trail damage. Not so much at Oak Hill, but certainly at Long Lake. At some of the
Long Lake was really wet this spring. Yeah.
And there's always been some issues in there anyway, but the mountain bikes aren't making it any better. And Hartwood gets pretty well trashed in area too. And that's with bikers and horses too. So
what's our reg on mountain bikes?
We don't even address them, I don't think. We just motorized vehicles.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're allowed at most of the lands.
Yeah. So, I mean, you might be able to address at the same time as the dogs potentially is, there could be seasonal trail closings to mountain bikes or something like that. I don't know. I'll talk more to the land stewards and there's some issue areas. And again, it was a high impact year anyway, because so many people were out and it was wet.
Yeah.
I need some technical help because I have my phone going with Zoom and this going with Zoom, and I've never used Zoom on my phone, and I can't see how to participate in the selectmen's meeting when I have to.
Yeah, Sarah and I were having that problem too because I've got it on right now.
Yeah. Can you figure out how to unmute? I can't even tell if I'm on mute.
I think they will do that.
Oh.
And there should be a raise hand function.
Yes.
They will see you. They will know you're there.
Oh.
But
and unmute me.
Yeah, nobody else can see you. So I think Mark is running the show down there, so I'm assuming he will.
So Anna, you can see that it just has Scott as the chief on right now.
Yes, I see him.
Yeah.
The selectmen's meeting, Dave from LCTV here. Selectmen's meeting is a webinar, and until they give you permission to speak, you can't do anything.
I see.
Like,
yeah, it's encrypted Zoom, which is different than I'm used to.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
So I think we're probably good enough for the 8:15.
Yep.
Just one comment. I noticed that the railroad had pretty much completed the siding down at
Wow.
what was very fine, or whatever you want to call it.
That seemed kind of fast.
But it's been a month to 6 weeks that they've been standing around looking at it anyway.
That's why it seemed kind of fast.
Yeah. Okay. Continued discussion enforcement order for Durkee, K2, K Phase 2, and K Phase 4. DEP file numbers 204-772, DEP file number 204-869, DEP file number 204-870. Good evening.
Good evening. For the record, Brian Goodrow with Hancock Associates. So we were here before you 2 weeks ago, kind of describing the work that's ongoing out at K. And we had a site walk that was scheduled for 2 Fridays ago that got pushed to last Friday, which was completed. Unfortunately, I was unable to make it, but Chris was there and kind of gave me a debriefing about what happened. So just a quick status update. Construction's ongoing. Stabilization obviously is ongoing. We did have a little bit of rain since the site walk on Friday, and there was evidence of rilling in some of the newly loamed and seeded areas. Those areas have been cleaned up, raked, seeded by hand, silt sacks cleaned, same with the roadway. Typically, as what's been evidenced throughout construction, until the vegetation stabilizes, it takes a little bit of time and some maintenance that's associated with it to kind of make sure that these small rilling events don't turn into larger ones. So the guys were out there, cleaned it up. So all of our routine maintenance is still in place.
Can I ask you a quick question, Brian? Are you referring to today's events, like in the last 24 hours, or are you referring since last Friday? Were you out on site today?
I was not out on site today.
Okay, so your comments are based on an episode that happened from last Friday through the last couple of days, but not what's happening on site presently.
This afternoon, correct. So Amy shared some, I believe, the picture that's up on the screen with me, and that will be kind of corrected as soon as the guys are back on site Monday. So the little bit of rilling that you're seeing, you know, again, it's to be expected in these newly loamed areas. So rake it, seed it by hand, and correct it until vegetation takes.
It looked like. Oh, sorry. I went out there also at 6 o'clock, and it was yeah. It looked like all the areas with the netting were stable, but where you did not have netting was very unstable still.
Right. I think
so what we can look at is supplement those slopes with jute netting to get that stabilized until the vegetation takes.
Yeah, I think we had talked the previous site walk, and that was before you had really finished grading that entire area, but was actually extending that netting around this corner, basically past where this rill is now. Like Sarah just said, where the mat is, the slope looks great. Because I was out there as well today. But yeah, unfortunately, where there isn't any reinforcement there, it's struggling.
Yep. So that's what we'll be taking care of tomorrow.
And when does the wall work start? Because it's going to come through one of those areas, correct?
On the back of 36. I don't know the exact date, but as soon as it's kind of dried out a little bit from the rain that we've had, I anticipate them getting block on site shortly.
So Kyle, you and Anna were there this afternoon. What is the expectation for stabilization? Perimeter netting? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah.
That looked good. Those parts look good with the.
Yeah, I just think to carry that jute netting or whatever netting it was on that exposed slope.
Also,
storms.
There was silt now in the bottom of the basin as well, so that has to be taken out.
Exactly. So when they get in there to fix the rilling and hand seed jute net, they'll remove that sedimentation.
Yeah, the basin itself looked like it was infiltrating very well. It didn't have any water in it.
Yeah, agreed. For the heavy rain that we had, I went right out after. I was out there just after rain. The basin was empty, so it's infiltrating.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Chris.
So if I could for just a second, on Friday, all of that stabilization was done, loom, seeded. What ended up happening was the silt sack at the bottom of Douglas Road, filled up with some silt and caused the water to go over the curbing, which caused that extensive, the rutting that you saw there on the corner of that wall. When I had met with Amy on Friday, I had told her that we went to 2 suppliers and we bought all of the jute netting that they had. It was on the back side of those slopes.
Last interview.
We were not able to get enough to do that section, but obviously that will be where we will concentrate that as soon as we can get our hands on some more of that.
I know I just, as always, find it frustrating that a little bit more foresight would have protected this basin yet again.
I mean, the critical piece to just keep in mind is that it's not stable. There are going to be these maintenance issues that are going to creep up. We just have to keep our eyes on it and keep doing our due diligence.
So I guess the question is, do you want to lift any of the 3 enforcement orders? Right now, they are approved to continue up to putting in the walls, but not working on the house.
So I was on mute, and I was wondering how the area behind that foundation that was put in, how that slope is holding up, because that was a fairly steep slope.
So I walked the entire perimeter today, Chris Finnerl again, and there were no failures back there. We did have, obviously the rutting and stuff like that you saw there. We would have addressed that today if we were able to get in there, but it's just too wet to try to stick a machine down there today. But there were no failures behind the foundation or on the backside of that sloping. The backside of that sloping held up well. I think if for not the water coming over the curbing there because of that, we wouldn't have had any of that rutting really. But we got a large amount of rain in a short amount of time. I walked the entire site today. The area at Spruce Street, there was no silt in any of the first bay of that system. There was some standing water. I took some pictures of in the 5th bay, which we hand raked and reseeded last Friday as well. I thought most everything else looked pretty good. We had one little piece of silt fence go down, which we addressed over behind lot number 18. And we spread a whole bunch of erosion control mix and stump grindings back there as well today.
I think you're going to have more rain coming this week. I think there's more proposed.
Yeah, I think it's through Wednesday, isn't it? Rain.
If you can believe what they say.
So, I mean, obviously we're doing our daily maintenance. We cleaned all the silt sacks today. We're in as good a shape as we can be. And I think, based on the fact that we're going to get rain for the next 2 or 3 days, that, it wouldn't even make sense to put that stuff back together until after, this episode goes by.
Well, I think there's certainly means that you can do to prevent more erosion. I think you'd certainly put some wattles in, and I mean, I don't know if I agree with that statement that there's nothing to be done. So there's.
I didn't say there was nothing to be done. We're cleaning the silt sacks and doing what we can. If a silt sack gets clogged up and it floods at the bottom of Douglas Road, it's going over that curbing as well as a wattle. If it rains like it did, like we just saw, 1+ inch in an hour, it's problematic on a slope like that.
What
I
about,
think
what about
people,
hay or straw? I mean, just straw.
Straw, I'm sorry, Anna, straw where?
On the slope.
Well,
on the
like,
back side of that basin, the wall.
I think to try to put that, it's saturated right now. It would be, I think it wouldn't be wise to try to get in there and try and work in that basin. I think we would make more of a mess trying to do that in the wet conditions. I think we'll have to wait for this, weather system to pass on before we get in there and try to, I mean, we just went from extreme dry to extreme wet. It seems like we can't catch a break here.
But I think,
Yeah, I think it'll just give a little.
Sorry, James.
I think it'll just give a little bit of time to be able to get that jute netting as well, so we can get in there, get it spread, get it seeded, and get it stable like the rest of the slope. So that is the kind of solution for that small area.
But if you can't get jute netting, if they're out of it again, I mean, couldn't you use a set of straw bales just to prevent the larger amount of water from going down that same rivulet?
Yeah, we can look at putting some water at the top of the curb line, right up in that area, definitely, to kind of slow down the wall.
Not wattles, hay bales. They're straw bales.
Mm-hmm.
They're stronger and bigger. Maybe they'll stop the flow better than a wattle, maybe.
Well, we would be happy to back up that area with hay bales. I think the good news is that anything that did wash down there was contained and we'll be able to clean up. It didn't exit anywhere.
Yep. So I think, generally speaking, we have a little bit of housekeeping to do. As we had described, we're tracking down some jute netting. We're going to address that slope, get some hay bales in that area, and then the handwork that's associated with it. But generally speaking, again, these are maintenance issues with new construction, new loaming on unstabilized slopes, so they'll be ongoing. I think what we're really looking for tonight, and based on our construction sequencing, was hopefully a lifting. We're seeking a lifting of the EOS. So obviously we're very attentive to this area as clear by the sidewalks and what we're committing to do. So we want to continue that work, but also not kind of stop with the rest of the site. There are other building permits on the end of Douglas that we would be seeking to get sign off on as well, as we continue to kind of wrap up the entirety of this project.
Is there anything that's been built that hasn't been mentioned in this conversation this evening?
Not that I know of, Chris.
No, nothing's been built. The foundation's in and the first floor deck is on lot 36.
Oh, did you do any tiering? Like you talked about doing some tier work on the back of the building, the back of the foundation, right?
Yep, Anna, we had our hands full last week just getting that basin built, loom seeded, and we plan to get working on the retaining walls and some of that terracing this week, as well as looming and stabilizing the slopes of the pond at the far end of Douglas Road, the one that was just roughed in. I don't know if you made it down there or not. And we paved last week also, so all of the roads are to binder throughout all of K now.
So they,
all the catch basins are in?
Jim, the catch basins are in, but they didn't get cut in yet. It was so hot last week when we paved, we kept everybody off the road for the week, but we plan to cut those in this week. So that basin really got zero or hardly any water, you know, just what kind of fell into it on this last storm. So nothing came through the drainage system into that other retention pond.
No, I didn't have a chance to see the as-built. Amy, did you look at the as-built for the foundation on that was built? Was that 36?
Correct.
I didn't see the as-built, but you've seen it?
Yeah, the as-built pretty much overlaid with what was approved.
Okay.
Actually,
I had seen that perimeter drain. I just wanted to make sure that was on the plan.
yeah, because the original approved one did show an actual inlet from the house into the basin, which the revised plan didn't actually show.
Did or did not?
Did not.
Well, so we had some conversation about that. The certified plot plan was already, they had already taken those numbers before that was requested. And we said that when they came out to do the septic shots, that we would pick up the pipe and the head wall we had, and we would resubmit. The certified plot plan only has the foundation on it, doesn't have the pipe, the cross culvert pipe in it. But we said we would update that when we did the septic system.
And when we go for COCs at the end of the project, just like every other lot, they'll have a comprehensive as-built that shows foundation drains, it'll show the building footprint, all of those specific site features. So there will be a clear record of all that.
And they do have the building permits in for, was it 48, 49, 50 over on phase 4?
Yeah, phase 4, 47 through 50.
Yeah, which are in the buffer zone.
47 is slight yard in the buffer zone.
Yeah.
48 is slight house in the buffer zone, and 50 is not.
Yeah. So right now, I have those on hold until the commission tells me I can sign off on those. Because that, I believe the enforcement order issues over on phase 4 have been dealt with. So I don't know if you wanted to lift those or let me sign off on those or wait and see.
We are seeking sign off on those.
So you're referring to DEP 204-870, Amy?
Yes.
And that's the only one that you feel is complete presently?
Well, I think the phase 2 enforcement order is probably taken care of also. That basin, oh, actually the basin dried out, which is the first time I've seen that one dry. So they have done that work.
Well, obviously we had a significant rain event on Sunday. We had I thought what was a good site walk on Friday where everything was in order and everything looked really good. I think Amy would back me up on this. And we had a lot of rain on Sunday, and we will deal with that the same way we dealt with everything else. We have a little bit of rutting in the pond at the end of Douglas. Other than that, we've completed everything on that list to get these enforcement orders lifted, and that's what we would be requesting this evening.
So 204-772 is that chain basin, and you're not doing that. That was the last bit of Durkee, and I don't think that's holding you up on anything. But I believe that work is done. Phase 2 is the basin and lot 36 that apparently probably still has some issues. And then phase 4 is also the question of whether to release those 3 building permits.
So let's take them one at a time. If that's what the chairman wants to do.
Oh, it's good to me. You want to go forward, Sarah?
What's the pleasure? So basically what is before you is to remove the enforcement order. So you have 3. And so if we go through Durkee on the first one, which is DEP 204-772. So if we just do a brief description of each one and take if there's a motion to rescind that. Commissioners have any comments on 204-772?
Nope, I did, nope, I don't.
I'm comfortable removing it at this point.
Okay, so can we have a motion for Durkee DEP 204-772 to remove the motion? I mean, the enforcement order.
So I'll make a motion that the commission, you just said the word and it's out of my head now.
I think you can rescind it.
To rescind the enforcement order on 204-772 at Durkee.
We hear a
Can we get a
second?
second?
I'll second that.
Okay, Carl, you want to do a roll?
Sarah Seward,
Sarah Seward, aye.
James Pickard,
James Pickett, aye.
Anna Mayer,
Off mute.
Anna Mayer, aye.
Yep.
Andrew Samarco,
Andrew Samarco, aye.
Kyle Maxfield,
Kyle Maxfield, yes.
Carl Melberg, yes.
I just heard them say conservation.
Motion carried. Want to go for the next one, Sarah?
Yeah, I haven't, they still have somebody else on there. So
Yeah,
the
there's-
next is K Phase 2, DEP 204-869. Amy kind of gone over what that entails, thinking that there's more work that's needed. What are the commissioners' thoughts on this? Anna and Kyle, you were out and saw that. What are your thoughts on this?
I mean, at this point, it's not impacting our resources. They're just creating more work for themselves by not maintaining it, I guess, or doing something to try to. I don't see a reason that our enforcement order can't be lifted. It's just a matter of they'll have to keep mucking out the basin, loaming and seeding the slope. But I didn't see any signs of the rilling and washouts going down into the resource areas at all. I would come lifting the enforcement order.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I don't like the fact that it's still not stable, but at this point the basin's functioning and it's not overflowing into the resource area. So
Any other
Something
commissioners?
we're gonna have to keep our eye on, I guess, over the next couple months if we keep getting these flash storms. Just really pay attention to it.
Right. I think the intent is that when the first time it does go over, then we'll be back to where we are right now. Okay. Anyone want to make a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that the commission rescinds the enforcement order on K Phase 2 DEP number 204-869.
I'll second that.
Carl?
Sarah Seward,
Aye. Sarah Seward?
James Pickard,
James Pickett, aye.
Anna Mayer,
Anna Mayer, aye.
Andrew Samarco,
Andrew Samarco, aye.
Kyle Maxfield,
Kyle Maxfield, yes.
and Carl Melberg, yes.
Okay. Unanimous. The next is K Phase 4, DEP 204-870. Comments?
I guess off without seeing the plan, I'm not 100% sure where these houses will be. Is this where they just did the paving and the new basins going in?
Yes.
Yes.
So that basin's not active yet, correct?
It is not active, but it will be online this week.
This week? Okay.
Yes.
And the enforcement order really had to do with work that didn't have to do with the basin. It was just runoff coming down the side slopes from the
Right.
State Road.
Okay. Anyone have any comments or anyone wish to make a motion?
Sorry, I didn't hear what property is referred
So
to.
this one, so Amy, if you want to just give the overview of that.
This is for K Phase 4, DP number 204-870.
Was that the one
Is the
that
far one?
go all the way over through Douglas and then down? Okay, I never actually saw that one. So I'll have to defer.
Yeah, I think I walked through there a couple times with Amy and other members, and yeah, like Amy said, I think the issues that were originally there have been taken care of.
Amy, do you concur with that?
I do, yes.
Okay, somebody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we lift the enforcement order at K Phase 4, DEP number 204-870.
May need to second that.
I'll second that.
Sarah
Yeah.
Seward,
Sarah Seward, aye.
James Pickard,
Aye. James second.
Anna Mayer,
Anna Mayer, aye.
Kyle Maxfield,
Kyle Maxfield, yes.
Andrew Smarco,
Andrew Samarco, aye.
and Carl Melberg. Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
Are we all done here, Amy?
Yes, you, well, you got the point, Ms. Next.
Okay.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Night.
You as well. Thank you very much.
Continued discussion, point 204-430, conservation restriction. Somebody want to speak to that one?
If I may, I would suggest that you actually flip this a little bit and start with a request for extension in case Sarah and Anna have to disappear quickly.
Okay. That's a request for an extension on 20430. I guess that's how it is. I've got 20-430.
Yeah, I missed a number.
It's okay. Somebody do we have any rapport on that, or do you just want to extend it?
How long is the extension?
Go ahead.
Just want to sort of revisit where we were last year when we got the extension. Steve Ivis, our environmental monitor, has been keeping tabs on about 7 items, sort of critical items, that we have been taken care of along the way. The first was cleaning out of Basin 3, and then providing as-built for those, which we have done, and we've submitted the as-built for Basin 2 as well, which had not yet been in the file. So a plan was submitted to Amy not too long ago. Basin is cleaned out. We're waiting for some vegetation to grow in there, but we're back to full capacity. They took out quite a bit of material. Both Steve Ivis and Stefan Katrubis sort of oversaw that, so we can answer any questions. Others was work on the K-pad, where we did some export, which has been, that has done, and we are getting substantially stabilized up there. One big item on there was a wastewater treatment plant. That work has been put on hold. We had not been able to close on our loan. We were about to close right before COVID hits, and then the bank sort of pulled the plug and said they were not willing to give us the $2 million to build that plant now. So that's in a holding pattern at the moment. No work has started over there at this point, so it's still in its stabilized condition. And lastly, there's just some work around the building J-pad that we had to do some clearing for the snow storage area and sort of define our limit of work there. So as we moved all that together, I think we've substantially completed all that. We hope to do a little bit of additional cleanup on those items. When COVID hit, it sort of slowed things down. We sort of focused our resources on any erosion control recommendations that Steve gave us along the way. So to that end, we're asking for the extension. We asked for a full 3 years. just because the building pads that are remaining, we don't have anybody queued up just yet. So we'd like to keep it open in order to have the ability to build up to the plans that we have. At a minimum, we'd like to keep it open a little bit just to get past the COVID and get some final stabilization and any additional work needed on those 7 items. It's there. Oh, and I'm sorry, the big item on the list also was the conservation restriction, which Attorney Ray Lyons is here and can comment to that. Has been moving forward just fine, I think, with little comments from National Heritage and I think a couple other people. So I think that's moving forward quickly.
So Amy, do you want to do the extension first? So make a motion and do that first?
Works for me.
What do the commissioners feel on 3-year extension?
It seems like under the circumstances, we don't know how COVID's gonna stretch things out. That could be.
Actually, most of you guys are muted. Anna, Kyle, Carl.
I guess under the circumstances, I wouldn't mind extending it.
Okay. Do we have a motion to extend it for 3 years, or if there's any other discussion? Okay, I move that we extend offer the extension for the .204430 for a period not to exceed 3 years.
I have a second.
I'll second that.
Roll call, Sarah Seward,
Sarah Seward, aye.
James Pickard,
Aye.
Anna Mayer,
Anna Mayer, aye.
Kyle Maxfield,
Kyle Maxfield, yes.
Andrew Samarco,
Andrew Samarco, aye.
and Carl Melberg, aye.
Want to go back to the conservation restriction?
Yes.
Any discussion on that?
Mr. Chairman, it's Ray Lyons. I can give you a little update on where we are in process. We met with you last month and we talked a bit about public access and where we are with Natural Heritage and the state approval process and also with Town Council. After meeting with you, I drafted something up about the public access, and the gist of it is, actually, I'll read it to you, is if the landowner prohibits or limits public access, then upon request from the grantee, and that is you, the grantor shall state why the grantor did so and the expected duration. And the idea is it provides you with the opportunity to ask the landowner to come forward and say, why have you done this? How long do you need to do this? I see a mutual benefit to that, because if this is not the kind of property, it's not someone's backyard. It's not the kind of property that's naturally going to be closed off. So if they're closing it off, there's going to be a good reason for them to do so. And they're going to want the public to know this is why we had to close it off. So in a sense, they can publicize it. You can ask them to publicize it. But in the end, they're responsible for what happens on the property. And this keeps them responsible and in control of what happens there if the need arises. In terms of process, I reached out to Town Council to find out, there's several parties here. There's the LCC, there's Natural Heritage, there's the Division of Conservation Services, there's the Secretary of Environmental Energy and Environmental Affairs, and her attorney, and Town Council. So I reached out to Town Council to find out what kind of process made most sense to him. I didn't hear back from him. I reached out a couple times, but it's town meeting season, and it's a very unusual town meeting season. I'm sure he has far more timely things that he has to deal with this time of year for this year. So instead, I sent it off to the Division of Conservation Services, got their initial comments back, and none of it affects anything that I think will impact anything that the commission wants or frankly the landowners want. We started with Natural Heritage's template, and DCS has their way of saying some things, and Natural Heritage has some of their ways of saying things. As long as the two of them are happy, I think that's how we're going to proceed. So I've set it up so there should be a conversation coming up between the people at Division of Conservation Services and Natural Heritage. And we'll see where the chips land with that. And then I'm hoping that town council will be available to look at it and we can circle back with you.
Amy, you had some comment early on about something changing or something that you felt they had to get going on.
Yeah, that was not with the point. It was some of the older CRs where the template is changing, or had changed, and then they redid it, and I guess they're working on a new template, but it hasn't come in yet, so I don't think we're going to run into that problem.
Okay. Kind of sounds like we got to wait and see what you come up with for the two other natural heritage and the conservation people.
Correct.
So it is in motion.
Correct. So both Natural Heritage and DCS have communicated with me. I have them communicating with each other. And then when they're done, I'll be circling back to either you or to town council, depending on what seems appropriate at the time. But we'll be circling back to you.
Roughly, do you have any time frame?
So we're almost to July.
Vacation time.
Well, it's vacation time for a lot of people. So know that we all want to get this done. I want to get this done. I think it's realistic to expect that it's going to be done before the year ends. Whether I can catch officials at the state level to pay attention to this in July and August, well, I'll do what I can.
Would it be
I
safe
can't
to
compel
say?
them to act.
I gotta say, it would be safe to say we'd hear from you sometime in September.
I think that's a realistic expectation.
Okay.
At some point, we're going to talk about what, if any, bounds, iron pins, whatever you might want to put in, especially up along the market basket side of this thing, as well as the baseline documentation report, which would hopefully get done September, October, maybe.
So the baseline documentation report is it's usually done before the CR is finished, but not much before the CR is finished.
Yeah.
It's trying to take a snapshot of what the property condition is at the time that the conservation restriction is recorded. So, but I understand that a third party has been engaged to prepare that.
Yeah, so I would just want to make sure that things don't end up and all of a sudden it's January and we can't get the baseline documentation done, so.
Noted.
Sounds like it's all coming together.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Have a good night.
Night. Continued discussion, enforcement order 54 Bruce Street. Well, I guess that's continued to July 13th by the looks.
Yeah, he has retained Chuck Karen to get him squared away. So maybe July 13th, we'll see how fast he can get his stuff done.
Okay. Is there anything else besides two appointments? So waiting to hear.
And then Sarah made it the whole meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how late the selectmen usually go, but
I know someone jumped ahead and now they're talking about cannabis and everything else. So yeah.
right, that could go on forever.
Yeah, you don't stand a chance. Yeah.
Well, if you guys all, we can all go show up.
Yeah.
Anna, are you logged into that meeting too, though, so they know you're there?
I hope so. Whatever. I know that I see them.
Yeah, that's all that matters. Yep.
And then I guess I press *9. I guess I heard her say.
No, that's only if you're on your phone.
I am on my
phone. On your phone.
I am on my phone.
Yeah. They'll let you back in.
Yeah, if you want, you can. When we're done here, you can log off there and go back on your laptop.
That's what I'm going to do. I think. Yeah.
But poor Brian, who is the other applicant, has probably been sitting there all the time.
Yep.
So we're looking for someone to make a motion to adjourn at this point in time, unless there's no more business.
I had a quick question on the Durkee stuff. So are you now signing off? Like, do we have to give you permission to sign off on the building permits? Okay, just be, no.
Yeah, if the enforcement order is lifted, I'll just status quo.
Yep. Okay.
Oh, and they started working on the library. I think I might have mentioned that last time. Trees are coming down.
Don't tell me.
They supposed to have like a ribbon cutting for that?
To cut trees? That's terrible.
They'll be planting more. They'll be ripping out the Japanese knotweed soon, so that'll be fun.
That I can't wait to see.
Yeah.
Did they try to kill that first?
They are digging it out, and as a matter of fact, I've coordinated with Rick Finley that there's a bunch of bags of garlic mustard floating around with no place to go. I said, and Cataldo's willing to take it all at the same time. So if anybody happens to have some invasive species they want to get rid of, you got like a week.
James, that was one of the signs that you saw up at a new sign at Oak Hill. They have a little reference sign on the gate that encourages people that if they see a couple different species to pick them and remove.
Oh, great.
Yeah, Rick Finlay wrote an email to me that he wanted me to spread the word about the garlic mustard, and I was surprised he was still pulling it because it's already flowered, and I thought it had gone to seed already. So it's a little late to still pull garlic mustard, but
A lot of people have it sitting around in bags, baking in the sun also.
Yeah, that's what they said. That's what the sign said, put in a bag for 2 weeks. Or,
yeah.
This is also going to a licensed place up in New Hampshire, I think.
Oh.
The Japanese knotweed. So it's all going up there.
I didn't know there's a facility licensed to take Japanese knotweed.
It's pretty expensive apparently, but.
Oh. For incineration?
Oh, yeah, and Mary River, I don't know if you guys remember her. She is doing the control methodology, which she will be there on site to see how deep they need to go to chase all the rhizomes and roots and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm talking to Rick Finley. There's some outlier individual, little tiny, maybe 6 foot stands that we might be able to just inject and try to kill those off, but they're in the wells and these guys are not going to chase them. And that's it for me.
Okay. I'll make a motion
So
to
I'm
adjourn.
going to jump off with you guys and jump back on the selectmen's.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do too.
Make a motion to adjourn. All right.
Second.
We gotta make a motion to adjourn?
I already did. He seconded.
Okay.
Sarah
Let's get the
Seward?
roll call.
Sarah Seward?
Sarah Seward, yes.
James Pickard?
Yes.
Anna Mayer?
Anna Mayer, yes.
Kyle Maxfield?
Kyle Maxfield, yes.
Andrew Samarco?
Andrew Samarco, yes.
Carl Malberg, aye.
Well done.